Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Let's go. Hey!
Yo.
Hey.
What's going on? Hi.
What's up?
Hi.
24 hours of DC fandom. I'm tired.
Yes.
Was a lot of
Indeed,
news,
gentlemen.
that's for sure.
A lot of
Oh
good
my
news.
gosh.
So
I have
much
like 3
entertaining
cups
news.
of coffee here.
Yeah, I have my coffee
And
ready to
that's
go so
just-
that I can.
That's just starting. I'm mainlining caffeine right now because I'm so freaking tired.
You need enough energy, physical energy, to match your emotional excitement from all the stuff that we saw at DC Fandome. Because some of that stuff.
Let me get your guys' opinion. But the DC Fandome event was pretty good, right?
Yeah,
I
actually,
think so, too.
absolutely. I think that this might be the new way things get announced. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I miss
Listen,
obviously like Comic Cons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that this was really cool and convenient to be able to like sit back, have lunch and dinner while checking out the Fandome. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't need to buy a ticket for this. What?
Or drinking,
Listen,
chugging coffee,
this was-
and catching up
This
on the
was
final
infinitely
things.
better than those. This was infinitely better than those video game.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I was
Right?
actually gonna say comparing it to
Yeah.
like the Xbox and the PS4. They're essentially their fandomes.
Yeah.
Way better. Take note, guys.
Yeah. This is
So
how
let me
you
a-
do
let me
a
ask-
reveal.
Hell yeah! Let me ask you guys a question then.
Yes.
Did you go to the after party?
No.
Come on,
I didn't
man.
know that.
Did you go to the after party? It was at
No.
9:30. Did you not see that?
No, I didn't know there was an after.
There was an after
Come
party.
on,
Are
every
you joking?
comic-
Are you serious?
No, I'm being deadly serious. There was an
Yeah, I'm
after
sure,
party.
I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah,
I
9:30.
didn't see that in the schedule.
What was the
this-
after
see,
party?
You gotta,
Like, were they
you gotta have
serving
the
virtual
you have
drinks?
to get. Yeah, you gotta have the 411 like I do, bro. There was the after party. You could shake your booty with Gal Gadot. What's up with that, man?
What?
Oh my
The after
gosh.
party at the hotel lobby?
Listen,
All right.
every
I think
convention has
before we
an
continue,
after
we actually
party.
got to actually introduce ourselves to the world.
I'm Jose,
I'm ready.
guys. What's going on?
This is Wolfie.
This is your apocalyptic overlord, AJ.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is after party wall, people.
All right, for coffee.
Yeah. Come on, ride the
I'm
train
mainlining this stuff.
and ride it. Yeah, I'm chugging it right now. You can hear the ice perhaps shaking in the glass.
I'm having right now, and this is a plug for Starbucks. If you guys want to sponsor us, I'm having a Starbucks mocha frappuccino, the chilled coffee drink.
Bustelo all the
like-
way.
Oh, yeah.
Bustelo.
Bustello is better.
Hell
coffee.
yeah.
But the Starbucks Frappuccinos are
Starbucks.
pretty good, man. They're pretty good.
Yeah, man.
They have like some new one that's like a salted caramel weirdness thing that's actually pretty good. That
I was
tried.
actually gonna get the toasted dark chocolate,
the one?
but then I said, you know what? Let me just stick with mocha. Anyway, let's get into the maintenance of this stuff. Let's talk about let's talk about our subscribe and our recording stuff.
all that good
Jose, you
stuff.
want to take it away?
Yes, indeed. So, as usual, this week, as we have been doing for the last couple of months, we are recording remotely. We have not been together for some time, although I've seen the crew in passing here and there, both dropping off video games or receiving guitars or saying hello to the gentleman. We have not really spent a whole lot of time together recording remotely, being safe. Everybody else out there, please try to do the same. Be safe, take care of yourself and each other. And just that, and mentioning that, I want you to know that there will be some sound and audio artifacts in the recording. We're doing our best to iron those out. So please bear with us. Give us some feedback if there's anything that you think is a little bit too obnoxious, but hopefully we've ironed all that crap out and you won't hear any of that nonsense in this week's recording.
We're getting feedback from the feedback. I like that.
Yes, if there's feedback, give us feedback, and we will do our best to deal with that issue. As well, the other way that you can support your favorite podcast crew, and the best way to support your favorite podcast crew, is to like, rate, share, and subscribe on all of the various podcast platforms. There's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher. All your favorite podcast platforms are where we are sold. So please interact with us, like, rate, share, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everyone about the Get Geek podcast, because we're going to get real into it today. So thank you for our fans that have done that in the past and that will continue to support us in that way. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, gentlemen. I believe, Walt, you said you had a little quick aside you wanted to talk about that is somewhat related to all this content that we'll be consuming, something to do with movie theaters, I believe.
It's how we're consuming.
Yeah, man.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So I got an email from AMC Theaters, and you know, I want to think that I'm special and they just sent me the email, but of course that's not the case. The email is regarding their reopening plans, and apparently this weekend is their grand reopening in 100 theaters, and this is just AMC, of course, right? There are other
grand reopening,
Regal,
grand closing.
You know. Yeah, there are other movie theater chains that are opening up as well. But I just found it interesting, and I wanted to get your feedback on this. So let me read you, just a couple of snippets from this email. So the email was sent because I am a AMC Stubs member. I'm not an A-lister. Now, the difference between the two is AMC Stubs is kind of like their rewards program, whereas the A-list is kind of like their movie pass, where, you know, you pay like $30 or $40 a month and you can watch unlimited movies and stuff for that month.
Movie pass.
I haven't gotten that far yet because...
What the heck is movie pass?
Yeah, well, movie pass is dead. They went into bankruptcy, you know. But AMC A-list was actually doing very well, of course, until coronavirus hit, and then it just shut everything down. But getting to this email, the email says, we're reopening. Great news. Many AMC theaters will reopen on August 20th. Now, this is August 23rd that we're recording on the Sunday morning, so they've already had most of the weekend open. We're so thrilled to welcome you back. We'll email you when your favorite theater or first theater in your area is reopened. Now, just an aside, we are in New York City. Movie theaters aren't going to be reopening here for a while, even though New York is doing probably 95, if not more, % better than the rest of the country in terms of dealing with coronavirus. But I digress.
At the moment, yes. Mm-hmm.
So they have this section called AMC Safe and Clean, and this is they say what to expect at your theater. Our top priority is your health and safety, so we've implemented new AMC Safe and Clean policies and procedures designed with you in mind. And of course, they have a little logo of Clorox, which I find pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Mask required for all. During the show, masks are still required unless you're enjoying food and drinks. I have an issue with that because what the hell are you doing in a movie theater if you're not having popcorn? And like both me and Gabe were discussing beforehand, who the heck is going to enforce it in a dark movie theater? But anyway, moving on. Social distancing standards. Please maintain social distance before, during, and after the movie. I went ahead and looked at some theaters that are open throughout the country, and what it seems is like they're saying that they're social distancing because they have recliners. That is going to be sufficient for the front and the back of people, and you can have as many people close to you side by side. I guess if you're in a what they call a quote unquote pod, if like all five of us went together, we can all sit together, and then maybe they open up like a recliner next to you that somebody can't sit in. But From what I've seen, they're opening at 40% capacity.
Yeah.
The next thing they talk about filters. They have air filters, and their vacuuming filters are HEPA. Hand sanitizers and disinfectant wipes are available. And again, the reduced auditorium capacities, which I referenced. Now, the new movie theaters that are coming right now in theaters, Russell Crowe's new movie, Unhinged. They're also playing Inception. New Mutants is coming out next week. Christopher Nolan's Tenet is coming out the week after. And currently right now, you can also watch Beauty and the Beast, Black Panther, Back to the Future, and the never award-winning Oscar, never nominated, Vin Diesel's Bloodshot.
Yes.
Now, this is the thing that really, really, I think is hilarious, is that they're rolling back prices. One day, for any movies in 2020, they're rolling back to 1920 prices. Now, the reason I find this hilarious is because 1920 was kind of around the time that this country was overcoming another pandemic. Don't know exactly who in marketing thought it was a good idea to say, hey, we're in a pandemic now. Let's roll back to the year that we last had the pandemic.
Yeah, Gilded Age era prices. Woo!
Yeah,
Return to the Gilded
doesn't make
Age.
a lot of sense. So that's the email that I got. What do you guys think? Are you guys willing to risk your lives, and I say that tongue in cheek, to go watch a movie like New Mutants or Unhinged?
I am. I miss the movie
that.
theaters. The movie theaters are one of my favorite, pastimes. And as long as I go in a hazmat suit or, I mean, I don't care if I look like Marty McFly going into Back to the Future with the suit and everything. But, I really miss going to the movie theaters, and I plan on going.
So do I.
So Walter White hazmat style. Yeah, I'm torn too, dude, because obviously everybody's concerned about like making sure that we're safe, but also movie theaters are an experience that we tend to enjoy, I would say, especially with all these big, awesome blockbuster movies that are coming out in the next couple of weeks and months that we've been waiting for forever, including some of the stuff we saw yesterday at DC Fandome. And some of the stuff that's just been coming out in the last couple of weeks.
But listen,
like Tenet and stuff like that.
There is some talk that Black Widow is gonna do the same model as Mulan, where they're going to release it on Disney Plus. So
I think every movie is gonna do that anyway from now on, because the money to be made there is just so easy for Disney. If you think about it, movie theaters might push back against that because they want to be making the money, but why the heck would Disney or anybody else have a movie theater distribute their film for $25 that they got to like share that profit when they could just take a whole 30? So that's going to be something that's going to be happening one way or the other, I think. And
but
people
the difference
will pay
is
for the convenience. And
I think I think people will eventually pay for it for sure. But if the one thing is that I don't see it being a huge, I don't think that they are going to move away completely from the theaters, because you will have a lot of people that were like, hey, like for $30, let's have 5 or 6 of us just watch it together or share our logins and stuff. And then what would have been 10 to 20 movie tickets, at, $17-18 a pop is now just one $30 price point. You know what I mean?
Well,
right.
And the rewatches, you're missing out on the rewatches too.
The way I see it right now is I think it's a business model that they can implement now, because you know what? I look at movie theater openings similarly to the way that these school reopenings are happening across the country, whereas it's like,
opening,
you have a plan. It's a poor plan, in my opinion, with the school reopenings. But, what's happening is that as people come back to these things, they're shutting them down right away. And the difference is that with the school reopenings, you have the same set of people going, in the same place, with movie theaters, you're not going to be requiring masks. No matter what this email says, people are going to be taking their masks off. They're not going to sit in a movie theater for 2 hours. And especially if you're going to be pushing concessions, which that's the lifeblood of a movie theater, is concessions. You're not going to tell me that they're not going to push concessions, which if they do, then the mask comes off automatically. Because how in the world are you going to eat popcorn and drink soda if you got a mask on, right?
Well, it's,
the difference is that you're going to have different sets of people, going to the movie theater. You don't have that consistent set of that group. So it's going to be more problematic. So that's why I say I think this is a good business model for them right now, because I hate to say it, but I happen to think that as this thing goes along, we may get more cases because of people going to movie theaters. And so though that revenue is going to dry up. So it makes sense. And on top of that, the confidence that people may have going back to movie theaters is probably not going to be very high. So, you may have movie theaters that are sitting empty, and these movie houses are not getting a single cent for that. So it does make sense to provide another avenue where people can be like, you know what, I'm home, I want to see something new, let me drop $30. And for my situation, it works perfectly because I have 4 people in my household. So I'm actually saving money by dropping $30 on a movie.
Right. From the consumer standpoint, it's definitely a total win. Right. And if anything, like, it'll kind of make, if it does move towards that direction, it's going to kind of be a little bit of a boon for, the home theater industry. Because there's going to be more people that are like, well, now I need the nice big speakers. Now I need the nice big TV and stuff like that, because more movies are coming out, via stream. But yeah, that's the way I see it. So.
The studios will make some money too. I mean, they might not make quite as much initially, but when you don't have any overhead, you just send it to people digitally. I know that
Trolls made a ton of money.
You're selling a lot of tickets in a movie theater. It's true, but like at some point, it's probably still more cost effective to do it digitally. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the only model either. There still will be a market for movie theaters, but movie theaters were having their own issues even before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So it's something that's a dying medium one way or the other. Whether or not it gets eliminated completely is, I guess, kind of up to people who decide how much.
I really don't think that it's going to die. I don't consider it a dying medium. I think that there's certain classes of films that are maybe dying, that aren't like big attraction. Like I think horror and comedy aren't huge movie theater sellers, especially in light of
I think horror more than comedy.
Well, listen, the horror movie stuff, I'm a horror fan. You go into a midnight showing, those things are packed. You know what I'm saying?
That's true, but like that's because it's kind of like the theme of it, right? Like that's one showing a day versus like the 10 Avengers showings out of the day that are packed.
Oh no, it's definitely not on the level of a superhero film, but horror movies aren't exactly doing badly, because I mean, look at how many people are releasing right now just to cash in on it. Horror films are doing pretty well, and then again, they're never going to be the same type of cash cow as Avengers.
But that's a whole different discussion for another time, because we can totally like geek out on the film industry and the movie theaters and stuff like that. But today we're here to talk about DC Fandome.
Yeah, let's get into it. We got a lot to cover. So,
so I'm gonna run through real quick all the panels that they showed yesterday, which again, it was absolutely awesome. The other thing too, I have to kind of mention after watching this and after watching the DNC this past week, I think that this may be the way moving forward for these kind of panel discussions. I think that this is the best way to reach the widest audience and curate it, right? Because everything was like perfectly timed. Schedule was, I think it was perfectly on schedule by the minute, and nothing was late, and they were able to control every single bit of it. So I think that's, I think this might be the new way moving forward. Anyway,
I agree.
So The panels that were, shown yesterday were the Wonder Woman 1984 panel, the Warner Brothers Games Montreal announcement, which was Gotham Knights, which sounds and looks very interesting. The Sandman Universe Enter the Dreaming panel, Multiverse 101 panel, introducing the Flash, Beyond Batman, which I didn't get to check that one out. Is that one? Anyway, we'll talk about
that. Was pretty funny.
Anything on
It was
funny.
pretty. That was a pretty decent panel.
Okay.
That was a good one.
The Suicide Squad panel, the Boz female of color within DC Universe panel, which I saw was pretty interesting as well. Legacy of the Bat. Chris Daughtry had a performance. I skipped that. Sorry, guys, but I'm not a fan.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Well, listen, he's done covers for DC. If you guys know, he did a variant cover for Batman number 50. So he's a big comic book fan.
Oh, yeah,
he's an artist,
I do. If you saw his room where he did his performance, it's all full of Batman stuff and DC stuff. So
yeah, he had a Deadpool Batman behind him on one of the performances. It was totally weird, but
that is weird. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, after that that was kind of a little bit of a halfway show or halftime show. After that, we kind of got into more meat and potato stuff. We got the Joker put on a happy face, Jim Lee portfolio review, DC supervillain fan art. Following that, we had the surprise DC Comics panel. Actually, I missed that. Anybody know what the surprise DC Comics panel was?
Yeah, that one was they were talking about Milestone Comics that's coming back, and they also revealed that Static Shock is having.
Oh, that's right. That's
the live action
very interesting
adaptation.
So it's a very interesting announcement of all the properties to bring to the screen. But anyway, now we go into Batman, the voices behind the cowl panel, and then we got to see the Snyder Cut of Justice League panel. Which was cool. I like that one. The Flash TV panel, Black Adam panel, which is also quite cool. Followed by the CNN Heroes, Real Life Heroes in the Age of Coronavirus. Then we got Titans TV, Aquaman, Ask Harley Quinn. Then the Wonder Woman 80th Celebration panel, which I thought was very cool too. Tomorrow's Superheroes with Jim Lee. Jim Lee being, I love Jim Lee, and he was quite prominent throughout the entire fandom. So I mean, I know that he's one of the surviving execs from the recent layoff spree that they did. The Purge, yes. Then we got Shazam, and following Shazam, we got Wonder Woman 1984, the cast play Werewolf 1984. Following that, we got Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Super cool. I'm excited about that. And finally, the bookend, the Batman panel. So that was everything. Panel. Now, real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I kind of want to go around the virtual roundtable, and I want to know what you guys are. Which of these panels did you find most interesting, most excited, or whatever? For me, it was. I have to admit, it was the Snyder Cut Justice League. I think it probably would have been the Batman, but I got a phone call at that time and I missed it, so I had to see the trailer at the end. But Justice League, I thought was the best panel for me and what I was most excited about. What about you guys?
Go ahead, AJ. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to Black Adam the most.
Yeah, I definitely could tell that one from the group chat.
Yeah, they're not using the usual cast of heroes. They're going all the way back to the Justice Society. That's going to be a very interesting movie. Yeah, that's what.
What about you, Jose?
So, man, this was kind of a tough decision to make because this is one of the more hopeful times in recent DC film history. There were a lot of things that looked really, really good, really, really interesting in the films, the TV shows, the games, and the comics. But I will have to say that with everything that I saw yesterday, I have been anticipating this for a while. I still think that just edging out everything else is what you almost picked, the Batman. It just looks too good. It looks like
Don't worry, we're going to get into that discussion.
That's all I'm going to say. It looks like what I was expecting, which I'm kind of surprised about, because you know how sometimes, a lot of times, our expectations kind of get shattered when we see the first vision from whatever director or whatever creator. But this really looks like what they said it was going to be, which is a bigger detective story, which I'm really, 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 really freaking excited about for Batman. So that's my number one for right now.
Eli? Elijah?
The Batman panel.
Yeah.
I had to go with that. I've been waiting for something about, I was waiting the entire time for something about Batman.
Yeah.
You're the perfect mark. You're the reason why they put it at the very end. They wanted you to sit there, just pay attention to all the panels, waiting for the bat.
Yeah, but the Batman panel was my favorite.
Indeed.
All right, so you guys took all the good panels, but
Yes.
You can
It's not all the good panels.
yeah.
There are some good panels all around.
I actually have a panel that I was really interested in, and it's kind of off the beat, and that was the Multiverse panel. And the reason why I found that really, really interesting is because that panel was the co-host on that panel was Jim Lee, which is the creative officer, and you also had Walter Hamada, which is the guy that runs the DC film universe, right? And with the Multiverse panel, it kind of gave you insight on what they were going to do going forward with all their properties, including comics, video games, TV, and film, and what the game plan that they had for all of them and how they were going to interconnect. So for me, maybe not my favorite panel, but there was a lot of information that they had that I found interesting. So that was the panel that I was excited
after watching everything.
That's, Walt always looking ahead. I like that. So those were all the panels, but we can't talk about all of them unless you guys are down to, have a marathon podcast session. So I think we're only going to be focusing on like the big heavy hitter names. I'll let Walt kind of take over now. I think where are we starting exactly?
Well, I'm going to give you some honorable mentions here. Some panels that were pretty big, but I think they weren't as big as some of the stuff that we're going to discuss later. Do we want to hit video games here? I think we are going to hit some video games here, right? So I'm just going to go down by order. Gotham Knights, they had their big announcement. That's something that WB Games Montreal has been pretty much teasing for the last couple of years, and we finally got the reveal. We got like a 7-minute trailer with gameplay and a little bit more information on it. And so basically what it is, it's a 1-player and I believe it's a 2-player online co-op game in a universe where Batman is dead, and the playable characters are Robin, Batgirl, Red Hood, and Nightwing. And it looked pretty interesting. It's again run by the guys that do Arkham Asylum, so I would expect the gameplay mechanics would kind of be the same. What do you guys think about that?
So, me personally, sorry, Jose.
Yeah, it looked real interesting to me. I thought it was something that was going to be another Arkham sequel, but I'm forgetting that I think they're releasing one coming up, a new Batman Arkham game that deals with the Court of Owls. So, yeah, I wasn't aware that this was something separate. It does look really, really interesting, though, and I like the fact it's kind of like their answer to the Marvel Avengers game in a way to me. but playing as the villains in this game is something that is kind of cool because that's not something you get to do in a lot of these games. It hasn't been often that you get the chance to play as the bad guys, especially in these superhero games, other than like Marvel versus Capcom and fighting games and things like that, which is where you usually get that opportunity. The graphics look really good. The gameplay looks really, really good. Again, it does look sort of like the Arkham games, which is awesome because those are some really, really good games, and they do have some pretty good storylines usually. So, I mean, it does look pretty interesting to me, and it's something that I'll most likely check out when it gets released. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited.
Some of the other panels, like I said, we had the Multiverse panel where they reflected on their strategy going forward. And to me, I find it interesting because one of the things that came out of that panel was that Walter Hamada said that there will be more Elseworld stories that are going to be told. Now, he did say that you shouldn't expect one every year, but he said that if a director comes with them with a good idea, a good story, and something that they wanna attack, that they are 100% willing to do. So that's pretty interesting. And they also did mention that you might be seeing more of the cinematic universe heroes blending in with the TV heroes, kind of like the synergy that we're seeing from Marvel right now in terms of Marvel TV and Marvel film. It looks like DC is going to follow the same thing. So that was pretty interesting. Then we had
Grant
the Flash
Gustin
panel.
going to be in the Flash movie, right? I feel like he's going to be in it.
Yeah, exactly, and vice versa. And speaking of the Flash, we had a Flash panel that was light on details. Obviously, because they're still in very, very pre-production and stuff, but we did get some concept art out of that, and one of the concept art did show a Batman behind him, and if you zoom into it, it does look like it's the Michael Keaton Batman. So that's something that was pretty exciting.
Right, and we did get that further information. I think this was announced before Fandome, right? But with the return of
the Michael Keaton thing was announced.
No, the Batfleck announcement. The Batfleck announcement. I mean,
we had known about Keaton before. We just found out about Affleck, and the interesting thing is that they really didn't speak about that much on that panel. I don't even think they mentioned Ben's name at all in that panel, which I found pretty interesting. But like I said, it was a panel that was light on details, so that's why we're not including it in our big discussion, because there wasn't a lot that came out of that. You had afterwards another one was the Legacy of the Bat, and I believe the big story out of that is that John Ridley is going to be doing I believe it's a 4-part series on Batman in 2021, where, and this is something that we had kind of reported on before, Batman will be a person of color. So, it's going to be an interesting take. Jim Lee was all for it. He said, you know what? Kind of like the same thing that was discussed with Spider-Man, where anybody can be Batman under the cowl. That's the thing that we got from that panel.
Well, this is John Ridley of 12 Years a Slave and the TV series American Crime. That's his claim to fame. So,
yeah. So the next thing, we had the Titans TV panel, which was interesting. Again, you had most of the cast on there, and the big reveal coming out of that is that Jason Todd will in fact be Red Hood next season for season 3, and he's going to be kind of like the villain driving the plot forward. Whether he becomes the anti-hero that we all know and love is still up in the air, but definitely the way things ended with season 2, you can see that Jason Todd has a bone to pick with the Titans. So, you're going to see the Red Hood, affect that vengeance, I guess, if you want to call it, whatever.
I still need to catch up to Titans.
Oh, that's a great, great show. You should really, really watch it.
Yeah, and I've seen the first season. I need to see the second one. So, anyway, go on.
All right. Aquaman 2. The panel was very, very, very light on details, so much so that Jason Momoa didn't even show up. It was just James Wan and Patrick Wilson. And the big reveal there is, yes, we're getting an Aquaman 2. And yes, Ocean Master is coming back. So, Patrick Wilson will get to see him reprise that role as well. Nothing on The Trench, which I found interesting because that is a film. Sorry, my voice is going here. I don't know why, but
get you some water.
Nothing on The Trench. That I thought that would be something that they mentioned, but they didn't. So it is what it is. Whatever. Shazam was the next panel that gets an honorable mention. Shazam was a very strange panel for me because basically they announced nothing except for the title, which is Fury of the Gods. And we know that Sinbad is going to be in it and Adam Brody is going to be in it. And
Sinbad?
So, yes, Sinbad showed up for
I saw that. That was
panel,
very, very interesting.
Yeah, it was totally weird. Like I said, Zachary Levi came on and he said, "Well, this is the Shazam panel, but sorry, I can't say anything because we can't tell you what the villains are, what powers are going to be, blah blah, this and that." And that was the theme of the entire panel. And you had I forget the young actress, but she was drawing while the panel was happening, and that's how the reveal happened because she drew Sinbad in the drawing that she had, and then she came back with the same drawing, and underneath it said Fury of the Gods, and that was the big reveal that we got from the Shazam 2 panel. So a little weird, but whatever.
I will say it's kind of interesting that in a weird way because apparently, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the theory of the Mandela Effect, but the Mandela Effect, very, very quickly, very, very essentially is there's this weird sort of disconnect where people have memories of things that did not happen in real life. Okay. And the Mandela Effect is called that way because a lot of people, for some strange reason, have a memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison. And we all know that he became the prime minister, the president of South Africa in real life. So another example of this is that some people think that that the Monopoly guy has a monocle when he doesn't, or that the Berenstain Bears are actually the Berenstein Bears. These are all weird examples. One of them, though, actually is that for some reason, people have a memory of Sinbad being in a movie called Shazam that does not exist. Okay, this is a real thing. They believe that he was in a movie called Shazam, even though the only movie that's similar or close to it is a movie called Kazam, starring Shaquille O'Neal. So, small side story. It's kind of interesting that a guy that was always credited as being in a movie called Shazam that he never made and he was never in is now going to be in the movie Shazam 2. The Mandela Effect, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason why they included him in the panel and probably in the movie too. They're probably going to make fun of that fact. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah. The last honorable mention that I have here is a video game by Rocksteady called The Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Mm-hmm. And again, it's I don't remember if this is a 4-player co-op game.
He did say it is.
Okay, so it's a 4-player co-op. It's not couch co-op. It's online co-op. And basically, the villains of the game they're not the Suicide Squad, but it is the Justice League. Right. So we have that. It's a pretty interesting trailer. It actually looks pretty fun.
It looks like a ton of fun. I love the track that they used. Believe it was Bombs Over Baghdad. Yeah.
Most likely.
It was a really fun trailer. It was one of those things that this trailer is definitely selling the game just with the music.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, with some good Outcast.
So those are our honorable mentions. I think we can get on to the meat and potatoes of this fandom.
Oh yeah.
Wolf, you want to take it away?
Oh, I mean, if I'm going to take it away, we're going to go ahead and start talking about Justice League straight up.
right.
Booyah.
All right.
That panel I thought was pretty cool. I thought it was awesome to see Zack Snyder like answering direct questions from like the cast. Each one of the members of the Justice League got to ask a fan question, and I thought it was really interesting how they did that, how they got all of them involved, but
Except
making
for
it mostly
Gal Gadot.
about except for Gal Gadot, only because she used her time to praise Zack, which again to me is it's kind of cool, or I mean, yes, it's cool, but it's also like kind of representative of what the actual feelings are of the community and the actors themselves, right? It seems like they really wanted Zack to finish this, film, and they're like praising him for like coming back. Like he's already back. It's already been announced, and they're just continuing the praise. And we got the trailer to the first official full, trailer to what's being called Zack Snyder's Justice League, which, by the way, in my opinion, was, the title of seeing it, Zack Snyder in big font and Justice League in small font, also kind of goes to show how much more emphasis they're putting on the fact that this is Zack Snyder's film. Other than that, I mean, I thought the trailer was amazing. What is there anything that you guys thought or picked up from the trailer that you thought was particularly remarkable or interesting or new? For me, it was actually the song. For me, I guess I mention music a lot when it comes to trailers and movies and stuff, but the fact that they chose Hallelujah, which is a callback for me to Zack Snyder's, to The Watchmen.
Yeah,
a very
in the trailer, the same song, I believe, right?
Yeah, they used the same song. They didn't. No, not in the trailer. In the trailer, they used. I don't think they used Hallelujah, but they used Hallelujah in a very pivotal moment in the movie that pretty unforgettable if you see it. But it's totally Zack Snyder style, which is like obviously his style of film, but then married to this very operatic, dramatic music.
It's his type of trailer.
Right.
That was so Zack Snyder right there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But what was even more to me is just that the fact that he's making this film and this is coming out, it's literally the entire DC's fandom. It's the fandom's prayers being answered. And they used this song, which I thought was awesome. So, but what did you guys think of the trailer? Was there what did you guys pick up from the trailer that you guys, liked the most, or from the panel?
I think it was I when I saw the trailer, wow, it really is a completely different looking movie compared to Joss Whedon's. Not
Special
only in
effects and all.
terms of tone and all that, but there's more characters too, and there's one more character that I didn't even expect to see in this trailer. So you already have Steppenwolf. I like his new design by far, the original
Way better.
design.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie.
So much better.
got your
so much better.
Looks better
Yeah.
animated too. Like the animation looked terrible, the facial animation and all that on the Steppenwolf in the original cut. And just from watching him kind of scowl in this one, you can see that the facial animation is worlds better than what we saw a couple of years ago.
Then you also had your first look at Euxis, and I say Euxis, not Darkseid, because at the moment that does not look like Darkseid to me.
It's definitely
The Darkseid I know has the commanding presence that doesn't need a battle axe. That has he looks a little incomplete there, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but
he doesn't have all
I
of his
wouldn't
armor
exactly
either.
peddle that as Darkseid yet.
Yeah. I think it's definitely Euxis because it looks like it's taking place in the original flashback scene. In fact, I've heard that that's the case. The big battle between the gods that we did see a little bit of in the original cut. Apparently that sequence, though, in this version of the film, that original battle between Euxis and Zeus and the Green Lanterns and all of that, and the Amazonians, or excuse me, the Themyscirians. That sequence in this cut is 20 minutes long. So there's going to be a huge battle, I think, to open the movie. And you're going to get to see probably a lot of Euxis. You're not going to probably see Darkseid maybe until the end of this film. I think there's a reveal at the end because we all kind of know what the plot's going to be, sort of. But yeah, you only get to see Euxis at the beginning. Remember, he doesn't have his armor. Like AJ, like you said, he's not using his Omega beams. He doesn't need an axe. This is Darkseid. He doesn't need weapons like that. So yeah, it's definitely.
But see, this to me, again, I have a theory that they're trying to pick up where they left off with DCEU. And I feel like this is going to be the bridge to resurrecting the DCEU that we all thought was completely dead, because if it is Euxis, then there's way more story to tell with Darkseid. How are you just going to leave that and not tell that story? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense to use Darkseid just for this. Even if they tell the whole Darkseid story, I would be kind of disappointed if they told Darkseid in one film and that's it. Remember, I don't see this being the end.
This film is basically going to end on sort of a cliffhanger, if I'm not mistaken, remembering like what the storyline is going to be again, because the heroes are supposed to lose in this one, just like they do in Infinity War. So,
right, exactly. And it would make sense for them to restart it now because... Go on, I'm sorry.
No, it's going to be a disappointment if it does end that way, which... Jose is almost 100% right, because it's going to leave us wanting more. You know what I mean?
I think that's the point, though. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, it and the thing is, to me, it makes sense to bridge the gap and restart the DCU, especially now, because the biggest issue that I think WB had was that they rushed all their properties trying to catch up to Marvel and compete with the Avengers storyline and the whole nine, but that's already said and done. Thanos is gone. It's done. We don't have that story anymore. MCU is working on sowing their seeds for a new, bigger or separate whole giant intertwining storyline. This is the time to capitalize and release your products and not have to compete with Marvel's universe.
This is when Justice League should have come out originally anyway.
Yes,
this is exactly when it should have come out, because it's going to set up the larger multiverse story of the Flash movie as well. So This is exactly when they should have come out. I'm just going to say really quickly, I think, Eli, you wanted to say something, but I think that this is kind of an in-between strategy here. They're going to see how the Snyder Cut does and the reaction to the Flash movie, which are both kind of rooted in the DCEU, even though the Flash is going to be a multiverse spanning film. I think what's going to happen is they're going to see how those two do within the DCEU, kind of like a soft reboot. And if they do well, I think that you'll see, like you said, Wolfie, I think you'll see them really commit 100% to actually continuing the DCEU, because there's no way that if the Snyder Cut does well, HBO gets this great property, that they're not going to want to produce another Justice League film, in my opinion. But
I didn't really like the trailer at all.
Here we go with the corn.
Eli,
what did you like about it?
How did you not like? What did you? Oh my god!
I wasn't blown away, because I'm still a little apprehensive after previous Zack Snyder movies. Like they weren't bad, but they weren't perfect by any means. So, but what looked like bad in this trailer? I didn't see anything that looked bad. That's why I'm a little.
It wasn't really bad. It's definitely better than the original trailer, but it seemed almost kind of boring.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, with the very few.
What did you expect to see in this trailer? It's a trailer.
You know what? I think that he wanted another big rock and roll song. That's why.
Yes, that's partly it.
You see,
but it's moody.
Doesn't need to be moody, rock and rolly.
It doesn't. It does. I mean, it just doesn't fit the trailer at all.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it is. It's a celebration.
It's a celebration of the movie actually being resurrected.
It's a testament to the trial and tribulations of this film.
I guess, but the second thing that I had a problem with was probably like
that it was corny.
I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but like besides the very few appearances from like Darkseid and like freaking Steppenwolf. I mean,
stepped into that one.
But I don't know. I may be remembering this wrong, but I feel like from what I remember, is it just me or did they just show heroes and that was it? Like
no, they didn't just show heroes. They actually showed one more villain who I didn't expect to see.
And they did show Iris West.
I know, but
Iris West.
Other than those very few appearances, that was literally like basically half of the trailer.
But you don't want to show the whole movie.
I understand that.
The movie is more than 6 months away. Think about that. I mean, we need some stuff for the next trailer.
Right. And you also have to think about it this way. Snyder, the Whedon version of Justice League only used approximately 10% of the footage that was shot by Snyder. So it looks like there's practically a whole new movie that's going to come out. So he's got a lot of stuff to show off that we haven't seen before.
I understand, but like they could have shortened the trailer a little bit instead of like what was it, like 3 minutes?
No, it was 2 minutes and 34 seconds if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because like
I'll tell you exactly right now.
They could have like shortened it if they just
2:34.
Like,
yeah, 2 minutes 37 seconds. I'm sorry, I missed those last 3 seconds. So,
but still, they could have like shortened it, and that's
I wonder.
Oh my god!
I wonder, Eli, if you noticed.
You're killing me, Small. You're killing me.
There's a few little details that I wonder if you noticed, and I wonder if you all noticed this. Actually, you probably maybe caught this, but if you saw in this trailer when they show the nightmare future where Darkseid has taken over, which is going to be more heavily featured in the plot of this. Apparently, we're going to see more of the future and some time travel from the Flash, most likely. If you look carefully, it's relatively quick, but it's pretty obvious. A Joker card floats by. Did you guys notice that?
I did not.
A burnt and charred Joker card floats by. Like you see the destroyed Justice League sign. You see the Omega symbol on the ground in the background. You see the the parademons start flying away, and as they fly away, a Joker card floats across the screen, like kind of like burnt up, messed up, on fire. Which is probably kind of just a way to make a nod to the fact that all the old heroes and villains are dead, and now there is only Darkseid, right? Like that's probably a
maybe
reference to that. You know what I mean? I don't think it means necessarily we're going to see the Joker in this movie. That would probably not be something that we would see in this Justice League film. I guess it's possible, maybe briefly. But there's a lot more setup for even stuff like Aquaman as well, because there's some scenes that show how there's going to be a scene with Volko, which is Willem Dafoe's character in the Aquaman movie, which is going to set up how he gets his armor in this film. Like there's no setup in the original Justice League. So it looks like this one's going to give us a lot more meat and potatoes into all of the heroes' motivations. Like you said, we get to see Iris West. We get to see a lot more of Cyborg and his father, Dr. Stone. So there, to me, I guess this is kind of my response to Eli. Like this trailer is not meant to be super exciting in the action sense of what we're used to, big like butt kicking superhero stuff. It's just meant to plant the seeds of what we're going to see in this 4-hour cut, because there's going to be so much to see. That's why I think the trailer is a good length. Again, I'm not blown away yet, but it's much more exciting than I thought it would be, and that's kind of like
I understand
what I'm
but
thinking.
like, there's a point where if you like let it drag on for like a long time, where I get it. Sure, you don't want it like action packed, and I'm completely fine with that. But you have that drag on for like
a whole 2 minutes.
A whole 2 minutes.
Oh no!
Well,
Yeah.
let me just put
2
this.
whole minutes.
I know.
Let
How are
me-
you
let me
ever
just
going to watch
add
the
this.
movie? The
Yeah.
movie's 4
Let me
hours.
just
There's no
add
way.
this to wrap this section up.
Oh, I still have one more
Yeah.
villain.
Okay,
Yeah.
so hit your villain, but let's make it quick because we got to get into some of the other stuff. So
And then the last guy I saw, who I didn't expect to see, was also Desad.
yes, he was in there. So
And that kind of makes me wonder, if they're adding Desad, are we going to see the Furies? Dun, dun, dun.
I think AJ is excited with the Snyder Cut. So
Which is a reversal from how you felt just a couple of months ago, and we talked about this before.
I mean, look, I'm not like supremely stoked, but I'd be lying if I say my excitement hasn't been gauged, if not in the most minuscule sense.
But you do know that they're making a New Gods movie. That's been confirmed.
yeah, with Ava DuVernay, right? She's
Yeah.
directing it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that hint is definitely something that could turn out to be a big detail that'll be hinting at like what she's going to talk about in her New Gods movie. So
Well,
we are going to see that. It's not just a basic tease.
Yeah. To wrap this part up, just a couple of little tidbits here. This is stuff that we probably heard before, but it's going to take about $30 million to finish the project. There was no reshoots, so unfortunately, there's no chance to go back and change some things that he would normally do in a normal production process. The other thing that they did announce is that it's going to be cut into 4 1-hour chunks. That's going to debut on HBO Max. And they did also say that they are going to be exploring other avenues for people who don't have HBO Max, which to me, says they're probably going to put it on, digital platforms like iTunes, like Google Play, other places where people can get the movie. But originally, the first thing that they're going to really shoot for is putting it on HBO Max, obviously, because they're trying to promote that as their platform for everything DC. The last thing I'm going to say about this, it was not a good week for Joss Whedon. Okay, because you had the Snyder Cut come out and all the enthusiasm that goes along with that, but you also have news that Warner Brothers is actually going to open an investigation based on, the comments by I forgot the actor's name that plays
Ray
Cyborg.
Fisher.
Ray Fisher.
Yeah,
Ray
Ray
Fisher.
Fisher,
Yes.
yeah.
Not a good week for Whedon.
Not at all. Not at all. But if he was as abusive as it seems like, I mean, Ray Fisher made a lot of allegations, and of course, this country, innocent until proven guilty, right? So I'm not going to say, oh, Joss Whedon is definitely like this horrible person that like had this crunch culture on the set of the film. But you've been hearing that kind of trickle out a lot from other people, not just Ray Fisher. So it very well may be the case. And it sounds like Zack Snyder is somebody that's a lot easier to work with because they all have a lot more love and respect for him in their.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. So again, like, let's not jump too much to conclusions because we do like Joss Whedon as a filmmaker, but it has not been, like you said, a good week for him. There is one more thing that we definitely got to like make a quick mention of: the black Superman suit. So people have been waiting to see that for a while, and I am really, really excited to see future evil Superman be explored more.
I can't wait.
That's something that's gonna be dope because that's always something that I wanted to see, like Kingdom Come style Superman kind of brought to film. So that's kind of, for me, that's like the last thing that's pretty huge.
We already have a Kingdom Come in the TV space on the CW, but to see it on film on the big screen would be super awesome.
Oh, and I'm sorry, there is one more thing I want to mention quickly. And I just a quick question. Do you guys think, everybody just give me a yes or a no, do you guys think we're going to see some form of Martian Manhunter in this film? Will he get involved?
Oh, that's interesting.
In that somehow,
Yes.
because the actor, remember the actor that's
he already teased it,
revealed
right?
that he's in there. Yeah, that actor is in the movie and that he does play some role. I don't know if he's going to actually get involved in fighting or anything like that, but he's in there.
Don't show it in the trailer.
I don't want them to.
Keep that one in your pocket until it actually premieres. I don't want to see it. We already heard, the actor already talk about it. Let's leave it alone and just reveal it when it actually comes out. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, Harry Lennox is the actor, and he was the
great actor, by the way.
General Swanwick in Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. And again, the reveal is that he was supposed to be Martian Manhunter from the very beginning. And then, of course, Zack Snyder was no longer attached to these projects, so they kind of removed that detail. What else do you guys think about this? The rest of y'all, do you think that he's going to have some role to play in the conflict, or will it just be kind of a Easter egg that we'll see with Martian Manhunter?
I'm hoping it's an Easter egg that leads to more Zack Snyder stuff. So
keep in mind one thing I just want to say. Remember, the original posters for his Justice League said unite the 7, not the 6. So remember that when you give me your answer, Eli and AJ.
All right. Let's move on to the next thing.
No opinion from the guys. Eli, AJ.
I'm sorry.
Real quick, what do you guys think? Will we see Martian Manhunter as an Easter egg? Will you see him as a main character?
Given that the movie is 4 hours long, I think they have enough time to at least devote, if not the most fleshed out story, he should be more than just an Easter egg in this movie, especially if it's unite the 7.
So somewhere in the middle, like setting him up and maybe having him involved to a little extent. Okay.
I feel that maybe I don't want to give him. If I'm being honest, I'd rather have Martian Manhunter have a little bit of screen time, do something pretty cool, but then it wouldn't. I see it as maybe just an Easter egg to start up maybe a movie for him later on instead of having him help out or anything. So I'd rather have him as an Easter egg.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your opinions, gentlemen. I definitely hope to see. I think I agree with AJ. I hope to see him and with Wolfie for the most part. I just want to see more of a setup. He can help a little bit, but I don't think he should be involved in the combat or anything like that. I want that to be something that kind of gets touched upon, and maybe Justice League 2, we finally get to see him fight as Martian Manhunter. So let's move on, gentlemen. What do we want to discuss next?
Suggestions? Anyone?
Do we want to talk about Black Adam?
Let's give Black Adam 2 minutes, because again, that was just a more of an introduction, no trailer, but just some concept art.
Yeah, there was some concept art, cool concept art.
There's
so shout out to Boss Logic.
Going on there in that concept art.
What do you say then, AJ? Tell us a little bit about it. Because this is the thing that you're big excited into. Bigly. So tell us a little bit about it. Is there something that we missed?
So, first of all, The Rock as Black Adam looks absolutely stupendous.
Mm-hmm.
Just in concept, the way he actually talks. I like the whole bit he had at the end, where it's the hierarchy of power in the DC universe.
Would you expect anything less? That's just The Rock all the way.
Oh, that is awesome. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie.
Promo.
That's something Black Adam would probably say, although he'd be a lot more serious and deathly. So it's just perfect all around.
I guess you figure they're going to make it not necessarily totally comedic, but they're going to give it a little bit of a comedic. That's why they cast The Rock, I guess, right? Because that plays well off of Zachary Levi and his slightly comedic Shazam. You could be evil, but also be a little bit cheesy and funny.
That's actually a pretty good interaction between the two of them. That'll be interesting to watch.
They would probably have some good chemistry.
I'm not expecting so much from the comedic realm from this film. Sorry.
Oh, I don't think it's going to go overboard. I
Huh?
think what I'm saying more so is that I feel like The Rock is going to have little comedic moments because The Rock does that pretty well as well. He has that charisma. I'm not saying it's going to be an out-and-out comedy, but he's going to have moments and he'll be able to in a way, blend in to the Shazam film with those little hints of comedy is more what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be a focus on that because I've heard there's going to be slight horror focuses to this film. Like it's going to be an interesting genre film with a little bit of comedy. So we'll see how it turns out. But the trailer did look really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing of note that I think is one of the more interesting parts of this panel, aside from the fact that we're getting an anti-hero story, yes, is that Black Adam will not be interacting with the Justice League per se. He's going to be interacting with the Justice Society, which is, for all intents and purposes, a different roster of heroes. And that'll be including Cyclone. I don't know much about her, but she looks interesting. Atom Smasher, who I remember seeing in the Justice League animated space. Looks pretty cool. Hawkman. Now, here's what I don't know how they're going to do Hawkman, but I'd really like to see his whole Thanagarian bit here. And not so much just, I'm a guy in a bird costume, flailing around with a mace. Be interesting to explore that otherworldly alien aspect too.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least,
this is the one you really like.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We are finally getting Dr. Freaking Fate.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, out of all the Justice Society characters, he's going to be the most integral because Black Adam has a background in magic with, the wizard Shazam. But Dr. Fate is all about that. And he's like one of those high magical entities in the DC universe. So it'll be interesting isn't even the word I'd use. That's going to be a very in my opinion, an interaction between Dr. Fate and Black Adam will be very interesting. I mean, I use the word interesting, but it's more than that. It's going to be so awesome to see on the big screen.
Yeah, Dr. Fate is an incredibly powerful character in the comics, is he not? He's one of the most powerful magic users in the DC universe. He's almost Omega level, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he? He's a very, very powerful magic user. So that should make that very interesting. I mean, Black Adam is one of the more powerful magic users as well. So that will be a very, very interesting conflict, I think.
Yeah. And that pretty much sums it up for the Black Adam panel. The one I'm looking forward to the most.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into Wonder Woman. WW84.
Oh boy.
What'd you guys think?
This was probably, it's hard for me to say what my second favorite trailer was, honestly, because I really, really enjoyed Justice League. But this trailer to me looked like it's going to be a pretty badass film. First of all, obviously, we get to see the really, really awesome repeat of Wonder Woman swinging from freaking lightning bolts, which already made me excited enough as it is for this film.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great. The thing that has convinced me the most is I was a little apprehensive about Kristen Wiig playing Cheetah. I was a little apprehensive about Cheetah being in the film to begin with because Cheetah is a character that's kind of fantastical and strange looking. So you figure you can really blow the CGI or make the character cheesy or not look that good. And I have to give it to Kristen Wiig. It looks like she's playing it in a way that is something a little bit like a homage, to me at least, to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Maybe not as like kind of
a little bit. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not as much the temptress aspect of it, but like that kind of demure, like really, really weak, like character with no confidence that wants this power and then has like a totally different, demeanor, attitude, and character to her once she gains the power. So I thought like that was a thing that I was really apprehensive about for the entire time that I heard about this film. But she looks pretty cool. The CGI with her being full Cheetah at the end is a little wonky, but it's not going to take me out of the film, I don't think. And our boy Pedro Pascal looks pretty cool as Maxwell Lord as well. So the comedy looks pretty good also.
He modeled Pascal that character after Donald Trump, by the way.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, boy.
He's the ultimate presidential villain these days. Yeah. So that makes sense to me. But yeah, and also Chris Pine he has some funny moments in the trailer too, which for us 80s kids hit a little bit harder, I think also.
Umbrella pants.
Parachute pants. Parachute pants.
Yeah, parachute pants.
Does everybody parachute now? So there were some funny moments. It looks like the comedy is going to do pretty well. It looks like the action looks pretty badass. That moment at the end where she sheds the armor wings is like a really cool like shot. I think just like in the first movie, there was some great establishing shots that Gal Gadot kind of killed it and did the awesome superhero pose. So when she drops those wings, that looks really cool. So far my impressions of this are that I think it might be as good as, if not better than the second one, especially if they fix what, in my opinion, were some of the pacing issues and some of the weird CGI in the third act of the first one, which hopefully, like I said, the special effects look a little bit better in this one with Cheetah and all that. So I am hopeful that this is going to be an awesome movie. And it just comes out in a couple of months now, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or did they push this back? November. Yeah, so
something like that.
Speaking of movie theaters, like it's going to be tempting to see this in a movie theater, like really, really tempting. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I just want to get this out of the way.
Oh. Oh man.
It was meh.
What's up, Chester Cheetah?
Was it corny to you?
No, it's just that.
I'm waiting for this episode's corny.
Corny would be Justice League. This is. I don't. It's not really.
What is it about it that didn't really hit for you?
I feel like they just showed the trailer that they had the trailer before this trailer, and they just re-showed it again.
That is definitely not the case. They showed
so many new things.
With a couple of changes.
The point of trailers is you're supposed to get more every iteration.
Yeah, just a little bit more. What do you want to see the whole movie in 3 trailers?
Like only Cheetah.
It's a teaser.
Eli,
that's why it's called a teaser.
Eli, you keep using this word trailer. I do not think you know what this word means. It's supposed to give you these little itty bitty drops each time. If we don't want to see the whole movie, man, I don't want to see the final battle between Cheetah and Maxwell Lord. I don't want to see the wishes that they make. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was an issue with BVS.
Yeah, but
BVS showed way too much.
I understand that, but they were just showing the same scenes. Literally, there were most of the trailer was just the same as the first one. Like there was no difference.
No, that is not true.
The only thing from the first one was the lightning bolt.
More.
I understand that, but like
they showed Cheetah.
You didn't see Cheetah. You didn't see Maxwell Lord's plan in the original trailer. We didn't see the golden armor. We didn't see Chris Pine really interacting with her.
Right.
We didn't see any of this stuff in the first trailer. You got to watch it again. Like I said, I'm sorry to hijack your opinion, but none of that about this being none of this new is correct.
The changes were so minimal.
No,
but that's what you want. You want to build it towards the movie.
I know, but it was like the same scenes.
It was not, but that's okay.
Well, listen, for me, I'm curious as to what the conflict between Barbara and Diana is going to be.
They work together,
because,
it looks like, to start with.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a jealousy thing.
Yeah.
Well, it could be. That there are some iterations where that's the case. There are also iterations where, because Barbara in the comics, she's an archaeologist, and so in the comics she develops a fascination with the lasso of truth, and well, Diana has it in the movies, right? So I wonder if they're going to follow the comics or if they're going to do a completely different storyline where something happens between them, and then that's what causes her to gain the cheetah powers, that drives her towards that end. And you even have that line in the trailer where she's like, Barbara, what have you done? So to me, that sort of kind of tells you that maybe there's not a friendship, but there's definitely a relationship between the two of them, and somewhere along the way something went wrong. Well, I'm curious as to know how they're going to deal with that.
I think I have a prediction. I think that what's going to happen is that she's going to, possibly befriend Wonder Woman or somehow get in contact with the lasso of truth, find out the truth about like her and all that, like herself and all that stuff, and maybe not liking that truth about who she is and about herself, which kind of leads her to, no, this isn't who I am, this isn't who I want to be, and then that forces her to change and accept what she has to do to then become Cheetah.
Yeah. So, but
there
overall,
is one thing.
Very solid trailer.
There is one thing in the trailer, and there's something in Maxwell Lord's backstory that tells me that this is probably going to be how they alter it a little bit. In the comics, Maxwell Lord gains possession of something called the Chaos Shards, and it grants wishes. So that's probably why you're going to see Steve Trevor, Chris Pine's character, back. And that's probably part of how we're going to get to Cheetah getting her powers. I'm probably going to make a wish or something like that. Because in the trailer, she talks about wanting to be an apex predator and wanting to be somebody that gets noticed and gets respect. So I would imagine she'll probably work with Maxwell Lord somehow and get her powers maybe through the stone. Just a theory. Just a thought. It's a theory that's kind of going out there ever since it was revealed that he would be in the film, and that it's very likely. You even see in the trailer he's holding a stone, so it has to be the Chaos Shard that he's got possession of.
It does make a certain amount of sense because the transformation that Cheetah undergoes is sometimes shown as a magical. It's almost like a curse and stuff like that. So if you're using the shards to do it, then it keeps in line to kind of her origin story, at least for Barbara anyway. Because there's different iterations of the Cheetah in the comic books.
Yeah, indeed. So I said, I'm happy that she looks pretty cool, but we'll see.
Does that do it for Wonder Woman? Do we move on now to
the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
God, there are so many people on that lineup.
Yeah, that thing's
so very little time. So let's get through this quick.
Do we want to actually run down the list of everybody that's showing up, or?
Yeah, let's run that down.
Do it quick. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let me run through this real quick. Idris Elba is Bloodsport. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. John Cena is the Peacemaker.
John Cena.
You can't see me. You know what I'm saying? Viola Davis comes back as Amanda Waller. Jai Courtney back as Captain Boomerang. Joel Kinnaman back as Rick Flag. David Dastmalchian comes for the first time as Polka Dot Man. Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2. Steve Agee as King Shark. So he's King Shark. You have James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, playing Weasel. Flula Borg as Javelin. Nathan Fillion as TDK. I don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. Peter Capaldi of Doctor Who fame as the Thinker, which is exciting to me. Pete Davidson, crazy enough, as Blackguard. Alice Braga as Solsoria, Malin Ning as Mongal, Michael Rooker as Savant, Storm Reed as Tyler, who is Bloodsport's daughter. I guess we're rehashing that type of storyline again. Jennifer Holland as Amelia Court and Juan Diego Boto as Luna. That is a huge cast.
Yes, indeed.
That's not even the villain.
I will say that James Gunn somehow has shown a propensity in the past for juggling a ridiculous amount of characters and ridiculous characters to begin with. So you have people like
insane,
like Weasel and all these other weird characters in this film that under a less deft hand, I think would have been really terrible. And to coin a phrase, to use a coined phrase, corny. But I mean, it looks like they're leaning
Amanda
into
Waller
that
is going to have
bit.
to push that button early and kill off like half of these people.
Yeah.
I think that was actually the whole intention of putting these people. I think it's going to be kind of like a Deadpool where you have like these like interesting cameos just to kill them off, like how they had Brad Pitt as the invisible man in Deadpool, and you just didn't find out until you got electrocuted.
Exactly.
That could be the first. Maybe the villain can kill off most of the first part of the Suicide Squad, right? And that's kind of what builds the
yeah, that could be the conflict of the film. It's like just how are we going to solve this problem with half the team?
And it's going to be probably slightly comedic, I would imagine, since it's James Gunn. So maybe we'll see them die in some funny way.
I don't know about slightly.
We haven't gotten confirmation of the theme, but yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be in line with his past efforts, where it's got good drama and it's a good storyline, but they like lean into the comedy really heavy with this crazy cast of characters. When does this comes out? When in 2021? Does anybody have the date available for them?
Don't exactly know.
Yeah,
to me, this was probably the funnest panel of all of them because you could tell that they genuinely like each other, and I can imagine that being on the set was a blast with all of these guys here. So to me, that just says that this is probably going to be a really fun film to watch.
I can't wait for this movie. It looks pretty freaking fire.
What do you like about this one? What's the big thing that you really enjoy that you saw?
It's crazy, like you guys have been saying. It's pretty crazy. It's fun. It's comedic. It's like it's gory. They said there's at least points where like each and every one of your body parts explode and stuff like that. So I find that pretty freaking awesome.
So there's definitely some people that are going to be detonated.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. You have to.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many people there. People have to die.
I like how one of the selling points of this movie is don't get attached.
Yeah. That's true. They probably are going to kill off a lot of these cats. They have to, almost. You know what I mean? In order to make the film work, I feel like you don't want to overload it with too many characters. But there's so many good actors in this cast.
The whole premise behind the Suicide Squad is you have a bunch of villains that are forced to work together. If you have 20 villains that are going to be forced to work together, you're not going to get anything done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So they have to blow up half of them at least within the first 5 minutes.
And you have to highlight like Idris Elba's character and Margot Robbie, like the big actors, really, really, really big actors that have signed on to this film have to get their screen time, unless they kill Idris Elba in the first 5 minutes. So I guess I don't know how they're going to handle that, but I am excited.
They will. I am excited. James Gunn definitely can handle it. I think
he did a great job with the Guardians of the Galaxy films. So. I think that this is going to be something that's going to be interesting as well. So we'll see. Any other thoughts or opinions? Any characters in particular that you guys are looking forward to seeing in this film? Any idea who the villain is going to be? Do we know who the villain is in this film? Not yet, right?
No.
I think it doesn't matter.
Interesting.
I'm sorry. I think I spoke over you. Can you repeat that?
Sorry. I said I think Bloodsport looks pretty interesting, and
Mhm.
I don't know, King Shark looks like he'll be funny.
God, they totally should have just picked. They should have gotten Jean-Claude Van Damme to do Bloodsport.
Just as an homage.
It just would have been like tying the comedy up.
Oh my gosh, that would have been perfect.
It's like Sinbad being in Shazam. It's like, here's some tongue-in-cheek humor just to like, just for you fans.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Films.
And then blow him up while he's doing a split kick.
Yeah. Get the muscles and Brussels
I
out of
wanna
there,
see-
bro.
I want to see Polka Dot Man's power in action. That's what I want.
He's definitely going to die.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully, he dies by one of the polka dots.
Imagine he's the most integral part of the movie. I will laugh, but at the same time,
Listen, with James Gunn, you never know.
It's possible.
Really
It could be like this
I'm
movie.
excited seeing Peter Capaldi.
oh yeah, of course, the Thinker.
The Thinker is such a great villain. I'm excited to see Peter Capaldi embody that guy because I think he's perfect for that role.
All right.
All right.
Shall we
now-
continue on?
Yeah, let's move on to the main event of the evening
Oh yeah.
or the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys are listening to it, it's the main event of that time.
The centerpiece
event.
of the event.
Of the weekend of all time. What is it, guys?
Couldn't Robert Pattinson at least show up for the panel, though? I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, oh,
he's locked
he
away
only did-
somewhere in character.
I think
I don't mind that I don't mind that he didn't show up. The trailer itself was the main event. So yeah,
but I think to me, this is such a huge deal. It's like a big role for his career. I thought at least maybe just like pre-record something, just so that the fans can see him.
You know what it is? He's not a very good interview because he's very shy. He's very if you watch his interviews, it's interesting because somebody will ask him a question and he will tell a ridiculous, completely untrue story that has nothing to do with the question, just so he doesn't have to answer the question. He does.
That's going to make marketing.
notorious for this.
That's going to be the marketing run for this is going to be weird then if you have your star who's quirky like that, right?
I think it's going to be dope. He could play up like the weird Riddler aspect of it, even though he's not the Riddler. He could just be cryptic about everything. What's up?
Not even that. He can just do the Bruce Wayne. I don't have time for these interviews. You know? I have more important things to do at Wayne Enterprises. I'll have someone else deal with
He
this.
does look like he's going to play a very different Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You know, the Bruce Waynes that we've normally seen, they're very much these handsome playboys, you know, the rich spoiled kid type of look, you know, that they play that role. He doesn't look anything like that based on what we see in the trailer.
You know what he looks like to me that I thought was interesting, even though this is not the Batman that they're playing. He looks more like the Terry McGinnis Batman from Batman Beyond. That's the vibe that I got.
As
like,
far as
especially
his look.
Yeah, and his hair, like he's more youthful. He's not like super jacked.
He does kind of,
You know,
Yeah,
he does kind of like a little Terry McGinnis.
Yeah.
especially when he stares at the guy who has going a little ahead in the trailer where they show a car kind of crash through a bank or something like that. He saves a little kid. And there's a dude with looks like Riddler clues on him. And by the way, Riddler, they showed some of him in this trailer. He looks totally different. We'll get to that in a second. He's holding up like a cell phone and there's a message like to the Batman or something written on the guy's chest. And he's staring at him. And you hear Alfred asking, why is he writing to you or something like that? And his look there, like I said, to me, he has like a kind of a Terry McGinnis vibe. Not that that's a problem with me because I think that look aside, I think that he looks like he's set to absolutely nail this part. And again, we'll get more into that. But
I have a theory.
Oh yeah, go ahead. What's your theory on this?
You know how they said that that Reeves confirmed that like the Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler, that they're not the villain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the theme of this being like kind of like a, you know, just like tormenting Batman and stuff, and the fact that there are all these villains. What if this is the Hush storyline? Or sort of the Hush, like Hush.
Interesting. I mean,
Be interesting.
That would be.
I think that like because this is very different from the Riddler that we do know. Riddler is, you know, obviously, well, the Riddler, how most people understand them, right? Before, you know, Hush and all that stuff. Before Hush, he wasn't like gruesome, I guess. He had very smart designs to how he wanted to torment and be a villain and stuff like that. This seems like there's a very like kind of cruel way of being the villain, you know what I mean? Like obviously that guy that we saw in the trailer that has a message on his chest and a cell phone on his hand, he's obviously a, you know, he's a bomb.
It's like a Joker
that's what it
thing
looks
to
like,
do,
yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
by the way, you guys know that Paul Dano is the Riddler, right? Like, oh man, I'm actually real excited about that because I forgot that he was the Riddler, and then I saw this trailer. I was like, I like.
Did you
how
see
he's
Colin
portraying
Farrell in the trailer? He looks totally unrecognizable.
No, I didn't. Who the heck is he?
He plays the Penguin.
Oh yeah, okay. Like I didn't notice him actually. I was looking for him. Where was he in the trailer?
If you're looking for Colin Farrell, you will never find him in the trailer because he does not look anything like himself.
I was looking for the Penguin.
Heavy
though.
makeup on it. It's just amazing. I saw the picture and I'm like, that's him. I'm like, oh my gosh. So
it could definitely be. I agree that there's definitely a strong possibility that it's going to have the Hush storyline. I think personally that it's also setting up Court of Owls beyond a shadow of a doubt, because especially there's that one part in the trailer where he opens up like a greeting card and there's an owl on the front of it. It's like such an obvious hint that that's where they might be going with future films. And since that's such a big detective story in the comic, I feel like they're going to go in that direction. I feel like there's almost no doubt in my mind. But Hush is probably a good idea for this first story leading into something like a Court of Owls.
Let me just
Court
say
of Owls is pretty intricate. There would be a lot of setup for the Court of Owls.
That's not going to be in this film.
No, definitely not. That's more of a second, third film type of thing, I think.
So let me just say this, because Matt Reeves was the one that was on the panel, and it was a pretty long panel. He spoke a lot, and he was you can tell the enthusiasm that he has for this film. And so a couple of things that he did mention during the panel was that first of all, we're not getting year one of Batman, we're getting year two, right? So he's already a Batman that's kind of there. One of the things that he did say was that he is a vigilante. He's starting out. This is his second year. Gotham still doesn't have an idea of what he is yet. He's not the Batman that everybody loves and stuff like that. He's not that symbol just yet. He's getting to that point, right?
Yeah, although it seems he already has his established relationship with Commissioner Gordon.
Right, exactly, because we do see him walking into the crime scene with Commissioner Gordon. So we do have that. So this is like the beginnings of the legend of the Bat, but he's still right now kind of like in mythological terms. And even Reeves said that. He was like, a lot of people don't know whether he's real or not, whether he exists or not. He's kind of like that legend, that shadow, that boogeyman that people still are unsure of, right? The other thing that he did mention was that, again, like Wolfie alluded to, the villains that we see are still not the villains that we know and love. Catwoman still isn't Catwoman per se. The same thing with the Penguin. He's not the kingpin that we normally associate him with. And the same thing with the Riddler. The Riddler is still in those formative stages of becoming the Riddler. The more
it's got Daredevil vibes to me in terms of the costuming and the point that they are.
The more
in
exciting thing that he revealed is that yes, we are going to be getting that detective story. And the story really is going to be revolving around Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, trying to solve the Riddler murders. So that to me is like super exciting. And he kept on, highlighting that point that we've never seen a detective story with Batman on film yet. And he praised all the other Batmans. He said Michael Keaton is awesome. Christian Bale was amazing. Ben Affleck in his role, he was amazing. But he was like, the beauty of Batman, much like comic books, is that every storyteller would have a different take on Batman. And he said, my take is the detective. So for me, that is super exciting to see him, walking through all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
I've been waiting for a Batman movie like this forever. So ever since, like, because when I became a big fan, it's probably when a lot of kids that were born in early 1980, like, we all knew of Batman and we all saw the Batman movie. But when Batman the Animated Series came out, if you weren't a comic reader by then, you became a huge fan of Batman. And there was so many great detective stories on that animated series. But the movies haven't really nailed it yet, other than I think the closest is some of the details that they added to the BVS director's cut. You get to see a little of Batman sleuthing and being a detective.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I think Christian Bale's Batman was a decent detective, like especially in the first one where he's like, using like some of the gadgets all specifically to investigate and find out and and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it hasn't been represented as well as it could have. I think we can all sort of agree on that. And this movie focusing on it is very, 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 very exciting.
Yeah. And I think that's like the beauty of this.
But we get to see more.
That's going to be the beauty of this film because, like Wolfie just said, Christian Bale he did use gadgets to help him with his thing, and I think with this version with the Battinson, right? He's going to be relying more on his mental acuity than gadgets because again,
because he doesn't have the gadgets yet.
Right, exactly.
Hence the Riddler.
Yeah, so Riddler I think that's what's really exciting about this.
Yeah, and you mentioned the combat. I think that's something that like I think a lot of people, myself included, I didn't see Robert Pattinson as like the action hero or like the fighter. Always I know that he has great acting ability and all that stuff, but when I think of like him in an action scene, all I can think of is Twilight, and that doesn't necessarily speak to Batman. But I think I think those questions were put to rest very brutally and quickly with that one scene. Yeah. That one scene when they're like, "Who are you?" And then he just goes and destroys and pummels, someone. They were like, "I'm vengeance." Oh my god, that's probably the one clip out of the entire trailer that just like blew my mind, gave me goosebumps. I'm like, man.
And he didn't do the weird "I'm Batman" Christian Bale voice where he's like really like gravelly and talking like this for no damn reason. So I'm glad that is a little bit better. I was never a huge fan of the Christian Bale voice. I know if we could all have our opinion on that and that's fine, but I thought it was a little much.
Yeah.
And remember,
I don't mind it. I liked it for the effect that they were doing. Like the whole idea of like how he was basically taught to be Batman is you have to be theatrical. So that was kind of like a lending to that.
It's true. And it's true. But remember one thing, and at least they did tone it down as the movies went on. The first movie, he was really, really like leaning into that voice. And I feel like their reaction was like, oh, it's okay, but like it's a bit much. But I think that Robert Pattinson, being the great actor that he is, not that Christian Bale is not a fantastic actor. Obviously, Christian Bale is amazing, as is Ben Affleck. But he does a good Batman voice. I know it seems like it's a small detail, but if you don't get that right,
I'm just glad we're not getting the pirate voice that he promised us.
Oh yeah, but see, that's what I'm talking about. Robert Pattinson is always trolling people. He doesn't do serious interviews. So when he said that, it was the same. That's if we get him on the interview circuit, that's all you're going to get. he's going to give you a bunch of nonsense that has nothing to do with the movie to throw you off the trail.
Like I said, I don't like listening to interviews and watching trailers for the most part because I don't want to be spoiled if I know that I'm going to watch it anyway. But I'm pleasantly surprised by his whisper. I think going the exact opposite of Christian Bale, he's going to like whisper everything. Yeah. So
he's going to be
suits him because of his timid personality as a person.
He's going to be a presence more than like, somebody that has to say a lot of scary stuff. He's just going to beat the crap out of dudes, say one thing in like a barely audible whisper, and everybody's going to be terrified of him because he's the freaking Batman.
That's going to become a meme probably when this movie comes out.
What? Where I'm vengeance?
There's going to be something said, and then he's going to talk in a whisper, and then they're going to be like, what? Say what? And then he's going to talk in a whisper again, and he'll be like, say what?
I said I'm vengeance.
That is a meme in waiting right there.
Perfection. It'll be like a meme. It'll be a meme with him and freaking. Oh Lord.
All right. Next question about the trailer. What did you guys think of the Batmobile?
Oh yeah.
I love muscle cars. I don't know if I love a Batmobile muscle car.
I gotta say, I'm with you on that too. I think that I hope that this is just his. Because everything seems to be like initial iterations of everything, right? Like in again comparing it to the Nolan Bale Batmans, he kind of ironed all that stuff out also in the first film. So I feel like maybe that's kind of what they're doing, but maybe extending it a little bit. Like he's still walking around with a backpack, and he has obviously a car that he just made into the Batmobile, but it isn't the futuristic Batmobile yet. So I feel like it's an iteration, of the first Batmobile. I hope that there will be a surprise in the film where there's going to be a second, much more final form Batmobile than the muscle car. But it seemed a little. It was cool, but not. I just felt like it wasn't Batman.
I will say this:
Adam West Batmobile almost. It's like an upgraded version of that.
I will say this before I throw it to Eli. If you're going to pick a car in his stable, I think the muscle car probably works best because you don't want to throw a Lambo out there with its carbon fiber that could probably get destroyed very easily. You want some real American steel behind that. You're going to use a muscle car that's probably got some weight, some heft to it, that could probably ram cars off the thing. You can't do that with a Diablo. You can't do that with a Aventador. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of the thinking of it, I think the muscle car probably works, but I'm with Wolfie on this. I hope that this is a vehicle that gets destroyed really early in the film, and that pains my heart because I love muscle cars. But I think you need something more tactical for Batman. Eli,
that's the thing. It's not a tactical vehicle, it seems like.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a means to get to where he needs to go.
Yeah.
Eli, you wanted to say something?
Well, in terms of tactical, what he could probably like modify it. He definitely would modify it, but what if he like modified it to make it like super tactical instead?
It's just the thing. The nature of a muscle car is to go in a straight line, and for a tactical vehicle, you need to be able to go bumps and hills and cracks and turns, sharp turns, and all that stuff. And not to say that they aren't going to be able to like do that in different ways, because some of the ways that the quick turns, for example, if you remember back in the Tim Burton Batman, going in a straight line when he wants to do like a sharp turn. Shoots out like a grappling hook that'll kind of like, or maybe I might be confusing it with one of the animated movies or whatever.
Yeah,
that was
definitely in the movies also.
I think that's the new one too. It's in both of them. It's in the Christian Bale one as well, if I'm not mistaken. He does that one.
He shoots out a grappling hook to like latch onto something to slingshot him around the corner.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
That was in the.
Yeah, I think it was in the second movie, right?
Oh, yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they can pull it off. They can pull it off. But I am used to now like the armored tactical vehicle, so
an actual tank.
I think that it just made the most sense.
I really like this car, but if I'm being honest, I prefer the original Batmobile instead
Which
of
one?
this new one. Not even gonna lie.
Which original?
Well, for his age, the original one is the Nolan
The
one.
Tumblr?
Yeah.
That's probably the Tumblr that you're talking about, right?
The Tumblr.
The one
It's
from
the one from the Christian Bale
Batman
Batman
Begins?
series.
Is that the one? Which
one
Batmobile are you talking about?
The cartoon.
Oh, that one? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you're talking
I
about the
kinda like
animated.
that one.
Batman the animated series. Yeah, that was like the movie one with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
That was a dope one.
I think the way he's going to use it is this muscle car is probably going to be a blunt instrument for him, because there is a point in the movie where they show him like following some guy, and the guy was like, "This guy's crazy," you know what I'm saying? So it may be that he's using this like a tank, just knocking people off the road and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that again, this is just, it's his second year, but he's still ironing everything out. It's,
Yeah, just blow it up early.
Maybe.
Even the
I mean,
suit.
I think that I think that what we're going to see from the trilogy, because I'm assuming there's going to be a Matt Reeves trilogy, is a slow progression and growth of all of these characters. I don't think it's going to be like 3 villains and 1 Batmobile, and then a complete new vehicle for the second one and 3 new villains and so on and so forth. I think it's going to be more or less like kind of a juggling of these villains and showing their growth throughout like the films, as well as showing the growth of Batman throughout the 3 films, where he goes from like,
You got to sell toys, right?
I don't know if this is the toy seller, though. I think that's what JLA is for. This is why I was talking about like the corporate, flicks, and then the fan flicks and stuff like that. Like you'll have like your JLA big Batmobile and all that stuff. But this is I think a very niche Batman, and I think that they should keep it that way. They keep it looking that way. Besides, for toys, you got Aquaman, Shazam, and all those super marketable Comic-Con type of properties.
Dude, people want Batman.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope that they don't toyify the show.
Me neither. Because then you're going down the wrong way. But you know what? I trust that Matt Reeves is not going to allow that, because he is an awesome filmmaker. So I don't think he would allow that. He'd probably walk away from the film if that ever did happen, which I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to focus on that much. By the way, I didn't realize that the character that you said, like the guy who's driving around and says that's being chased by Batman, the guy goes, he's crazy or whatever. That is Colin Farrell. I had no idea. That's is Colin Farrell's Penguin. So
I'm telling you, he's totally unrecognizable. You can't point him out if you don't know what he looks like ahead of time.
I had no idea that was him. I didn't even know that he was supposed to be. I knew he was supposed to be the Penguin, but I had no idea that that's who that character was in this trailer. Even though I should have definitely figured that out.
I'm gonna say one quick thing about this, and this was something that came up in the Multiverse panel. This Batman does not exist in the DCEU. It exists in another universe, another multi-universe, and this is a little disappointing for me. He does not exist in the Joker universe. The Joker universe is separate from this Batman universe. So
that's okay.
Already we have 3 multiverses. Okay, we have 3 multiverses to talk about.
The only see, I'm okay with it, and the only thing that I would have a problem with is if they actually try to put them all together. Yeah. That I think would be a really bad decision, because I think it's going to muddy it, because then you're going to take away from the timelines. Because, for example, you have the Joker in one universe, you have the Batman in another, and then you have Batfleck in the DCEU, right? If they try to put all of them together, one of them has to be the one that we're supposed to take on as the real one. It'll delegitimize the other universes. So it's okay, I think, to explain like, oh, they all live in separate universes, as long as they don't try to tie them all into a storyline where you're supposed to, kind of see, let's say, the DCEU as the actual timeline and all these other ones are just extra universes. As long as they don't do that, I'm cool with it.
Well, but that's what the Flash is for, because the Flash is supposed to introduce into the film
Right.
universe the notion of multiverses. And if we ever do get an Infinite Crisis, then you can throw all these characters together and put them in a sandbox and whatnot.
Right. So that's what I don't want them to do. It's cool that you explain it, that you introduce the multiverse and the whole nine. Please don't, just muddy it. Because, for example, the style of this film, the Matt Reeves films, already, I think, would be hurt by all of a sudden a parallel intergalactic universe coming into that storyline.
But don't you think the
just wouldn't
Joker
work.
would fit? Joaquin Phoenix's Joker would fit in with Pattinson's Batman?
I think it would, yeah.
I think actually, and this is might be controversial, I think he would, but I think you might have a little bit more fun, as we discussed, if you actually end up casting Willem Dafoe as the Joker. Doesn't matter that he's older to me at all. The Joker's not necessarily supposed to be the same age. In fact, in most storylines, he's a little bit older than Batman. So I don't care that Willem Dafoe is older. I think that him versus Robert Pattinson would be phenomenal. And strangely enough, I don't think they're going to do this either. But if even though it doesn't fit exactly, right? What's that?
I don't think you can put Defoe as the Joker, because he's already Vulko in Aquaman.
But this is an alternate universe.
Multiverse.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
As long as they're not putting them all together, then that would make it really, really weird, because then you're going to have all the different universes, all the different themes kind of being put together. And as odd as this would fit thematically, if you ever were to do a Joaquin Phoenix Joker versus anyone, I think Batfleck would be a good foil for him if you made the right movie. They're never going to do that, and I don't necessarily want them to do that. But like I said, I say all of this to say that I wouldn't mind them introducing like a Willem Dafoe. And I don't mind them doing a multiverse film where they kind of throw them all together into the sandbox. But they have to make sure that this movie, the Batman, Justice League, the Snyder Cut, and other films set it up in a way so that we know it's not like, oh, now that this movie is out, now all these universes are together. Like, I don't want any of that nonsense. They still need to be separate after any of these big events. Otherwise, it just doesn't work for me personally. But I mean, either way, I'm looking forward to this film, and whatever Joker they cast so far, this looks like it's going to be a fantastic iteration of Batman.
Cool.
Oh, and a quick honorable mention to Zoe Kravitz, because she looks like she might be a pretty good Catwoman, and I've been seeing her at High Fidelity on Hulu. I hadn't seen her in a lot of TV shows or movies before that. She was in Mad Max, I think, but she doesn't play a huge role in that. And she's really good in High Fidelity. She's a very good actress. I hadn't seen her chops, but now that I've seen High Fidelity, I think she can pull off Catwoman really, really well, because she plays a very good, tough, yet vulnerable character. It almost sounds cliche, but she does it really well on that show. So she can bring that, I think, to Catwoman's character. And hopefully we'll see some really, really good Catwoman action from her.
All right. So does that do it for us for our Fandome recap?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot, and you know what, I gotta say it again. This was a really, really awesome way to connect with the fans. I think they did this really, really well.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm not gonna lie. After attending this event, I kind of want to get my comic on again, because I've been slacking. I'm gonna be blunt. I've been slacking, but this kind of reinvigorated my love for the comic space.
And let me just say this real quick before we wrap up. We only went over the Hall of Heroes. There were other panels going on at the same time, but this was kind of like their Hall H, because there was a space just for comics. There was a space for kids, that we really didn't touch upon. And the second point that I want to say real quick, we're going to get a second part to this, because there's another Fandome scheduled in September. They thought about it and they said, you know what, there's a lot of stuff that we want to cover, so we're splitting it into 2 events. So there is another one coming in September, I think late September. I don't exactly have the exact date, but they're going to do this again very, very shortly.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say that, like, my faith has been restored in DC. My faith has been very, like, kind of wanting with DC, especially over, like, you know, a lot of decisions that they made over the last few years when it came to film properties. And, you know, I'm not a huge DC comic guy, but they've obviously made some huge changes recently with the huge layoff spree that they did. But I think that the direction that they're taking DC seems to have been, like, kind of, in my mind, course corrected with this Fandome event in one shot. In one day, I feel like they've done a full 180 as far as my perception goes. And I'm super excited about everything that's coming out.
Yeah, I have one last thing to say, and I know there's always this one last thing with me, but the event did show that DC Universe, the app as we know it, is pretty much dead, because there was no mention to it at all, and everything was pointing towards HBO Max. So it's a little disappointing to me. I just hope that they keep DC Universe around and make it similar to Marvel Unlimited, where it's just comic books, because I think that would be an awesome way to promote their comic books. But in terms of original programming, everything's going to HBO Max. So DC Universe as a streaming property for video is pretty much dead.
Didn't Swamp Thing get picked up also by like by HBO Max or something else, like Swamp Thing? They're going to re-air that first season or something like that, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
a little sad, but
lots of great stuff coming.
So DC, the company, is in a little bit of trouble. The DC Universe app is in some trouble, but maybe, just maybe, the DCEU will finally come through and be the saving grace that DC Comics has been needing for years, just like Marvel did about 10 years ago. Maybe
Let's hope so.
Saving grace. Let's hope so, because I don't want to see DC change too much. It's still one of the comic greats, obviously, one of the big ones. So,
yep.
Let's see what happens. All right. I like this conversation, guys. We're all very, very excited. DC Fandome was awesome. Our faith in DC, in the DCEU, and indeed in the possibility of the DCEU returning and continuing, thanks to Zack Snyder and some other visionary filmmakers like James Wan, it is no longer on life support. We actually have some stuff to be excited about. And if there is any better indication of what there is to be excited about, I'll put it to you this way. AJ actually gives a crap about the Justice League Snyder Cut, which none of us thought he would. None of us thought he would, but it actually looks pretty good. So DC, do not let us down. You're giving us
not fail us again.
Many good things to look forward to. I'm staring at Michael Keaton Batman on my screen right now. That's just one of many awesome things that we are looking forward to as fans. So DC, thank you for this event. It was awesome. Give us some reality, like fulfill some of this promise, and we will definitely be back on board with you again, just as big as ever, just as excited as we are for any type of MCU film or anything else. And yeah, I think that's in a nutshell how exciting this DC Fandome event really was for the big geeks out there. So that said, I will remind everyone once again I want to thank everyone, I should say, for dealing with any sound issues or artifacts that we had during the podcast. We hope that it sounds as well as it possibly can. Thank you to our fans. Thank you to all of our fans that liked, rated, shared, subscribed our podcast, and participated in our most recent giveaways. Y'all are some super fans. We freaking love you. We will definitely have some giveaways coming up in the near future. So as always, check out our website, check out our Instagram at Get Geek Podcast in order to find out some new information. Listen to the podcast because we're always announcing it on here as well whenever we have a new giveaway or anything like that. And yes, if you want to support us in any other way, as always, you know the best thing to do. Like, rate, share, subscribe, smash those buttons, smash that mouse pad, smash that touchscreen, like, rate, share, and subscribe us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever your favorite podcasts are sold. We want to thank you all for joining us in our little analysis of DC's Fandome event. We hope you're looking forward to it as well. And as always, what I need y'all out there in the internet to do is stay geeky, my friends.